Today we will discuss subclass 4.10 site data in FIDIC 1999 edition. Under this class, before and after base date means 28 days before latest date of bid submission, employer shall make available to contractor all relevant data in employer's possessions regarding subsurface conditions, hydrological conditions, and environmental aspects. However, it is contractor responsibility to interpret these data. So providing data is employer responsibility and interpretation of the data is contractor responsibility. This class further says that to the extent possible and taking into account time and cost, the contractor shall be deemed to have obtained all information regarding risk, contingencies, and other circumstances which may affect tender or works. The contractor shall also be deemed to have inspected and examined sites, its surroundings, and data provided by the employer. So it is contractor responsibility that before submission of tender, he must obtain all information regarding risk, contingencies, and other circumstances and inspected the sites, its surroundings, and data provided by the employer. The contractor shall also be deemed to have satisfied himself before submitting the tender all information including but not limited to following: form and nature of the sites including surface conditions, hydrological and climate condition, extent and nature of work, goods necessary for execution and completion of works and remedying defects, laws, procedure and labor practice of the country, contractor's requirement regarding access, accommodation, facilities, and personal power, transport, water, and other services. So it is the contractor responsibility to have full satisfaction regarding form and nature of the sites, hydrological conditions and climate conditions, nature and extent of work, goods necessary for execution and completion of works, laws, procedures, labor practice of the country, contractors' requirement regarding access, accommodation, facilities, personal power, transport, water, and other services. So in nutshell, this subclass may be divided into following three parts: employer's obligations, employer's liability, and contractor's deemed knowledge. Employer obligation, the initial obligation is to provide relevant subsurface and hydrological data in employer possession. Relevant data is explained in FIDIC guide as the data obtained from the investigation for the works or the data which is publicly available but is in employer possession. The employer is therefore not required to provide data which is not relevant to the contractor's performance of contract obligation. Employer's liability. It is the liability of the employer to make available to contractor all relevant data which comes in possession of the employer after base date. There is no particular requirement for the timing of release of further data. The question is, what are the consequences if employer fails to meet this obligation to make data available which is in employer's possession? Contractors deem knowledge. To the extent practicable, taking account of cost and time, the contractor shall be deemed to have obtained all necessary information of risk, contingencies, and other circumstances. The subclass continues further by deeming that the contractor, but again only to the extent practicable, to have inspected and examined the sites, its surrounding, and employer's data and other available information. A. The form and nature of the sites including subsurface conditions, the hydrological and climate condition, the extent and nature of work and goods, the laws, procedures and labor practice of the country, the contractor's requirement for access, accommodation, facilities, personal power, transport, water and other services.